What's up, guys? We're back. Technique Tuesday. I wanted to show a wrist lock today. I know, it's a shocker, right? But I'm even rocking my Dirty Wrist Locker shirt, which you can get at cauliflowerfamily.com. One of the first wrist locks that I really learned or had success with, I guess, would be from back mount. So I'm going to show that one. So let's actually rotate this way. So just for demonstration purposes, we'll be sitting up, but as I show it, we'll go to the proper position, I guess. So you have your back mount. I'm going to have my over-under grip, seatbelt grip, whatever you want to call it. So one arm over the shoulder, one underneath the armpit, and I'm grabbing. I personally really like the wrist ride. So I'm fighting for the choke on this side, and usually they're defending it, which is fine. Like, I mean, if I can get it, I'll get it. But I like to make them really think about that choke while I have this. So if I can get it under the chin, I will go for the rear naked choke. But usually people are pretty savvy, and they'll be blocking it. They know that you're wanting that choke. So I'm going from the wrist, sliding it to the fat of their hand. So I'm kind of covering up to where the edge of my hand is like right on her wrist, or where her hand meets her wrist, I guess. So here. So on her, I'm touching her pinky. So sliding it there. Usually they're not going to notice that you are making that adjustment because they're fighting off this choke. Another thing is when you're grabbing here, it's a lot stronger for me, because if she just tries to press out, like it'll pop her wrist, or like it's just not as strong. Like if I have it on her wrist, like more on her forearm, she can flex out of it. But if I have the pinky and she tries to press away, like it's weaker for her. So I really like to grab right there. So what I end up doing is sliding to that, to the fat of her hand there, and then it's just like when I bail off for like an armbar, and that's how I'm going to finish this wrist lock. Alright, so right here we have back mount. However you like to play your back mount. I like to have my bottom hook in. I'll be stomping on this hip or half back, just really controlling those hips. But I personally really like to play right here. So I'm going from her forearm to the fat of her hand, and I need to make space to bail off like I'm going for the armbar. If I just try to do it here, like it's just not going to work. So I really have to like use her and push her to where she's like almost like she's bridging into me, where I'm making this space. Because otherwise I have to go through her arm and then try to like kick over for like I'm going for an armbar. But in this case we're going for the wrist lock instead. So I'm going to move her here. So just a small adjustment. As I'm moving her, the choking arm is going to come out, and I'm going to start reinforcing my hand as I'm kicking this leg over. So I go here, here. This leg goes across, and I kick over. Usually when you bail off like that or start attacking that arm, they get their hands together, which in this instance is fine. If I was going for the armbar, now I'm having to fight her grip and start trying to break the grip apart. There's obviously numerous different ways to do it. But as I move her, leg goes across the body, I'm reinforcing my hand, kicking over. She gets her hands together, that's okay. So usually when I kick over, they end up a little away, so I kind of have to like make an adjustment and sit up. Alright, I'm going to move my leg out of the way just so you can see. I'm grabbing this side of her hand with my left in this instance. I'm going to reinforce and go on the opposite side. So I'm going here. So even if she keeps her hands together, like I have the basic principles of the wrist lock like already like ready to go. So, and for the wrist lock, if you haven't heard me talk about it before, I need to reinforce the elbow or block the elbow as I'm applying this. So what I like to do is you can do it many different ways. Like I can press it against my body, but I like to kind of have it in my armpit here, and I'm just kind of clamping it down. But you can do it here as well. It doesn't matter as long as you're bracing that elbow. So I'm dominating the elbow here. And I'm just pressing it down. So I'm kind of closing this elbow and then pressing her elbow into my body. And then I just kind of fold everything in and apply it there. So this style is hyperextending. So technically you have 3 different ways to do a wrist lock: hyperextending, hyperflexing, and then rotational, twisting wrist locks. But that might be a different video. So here, over under, I got my back mount, fighting for the choke. Maybe I'm breaking apart her grips, but I grab that wrist ride, slide it up, move her, I like to stomp and then kind of move her with this leg as well, as I'm pulling her with my arms. So here, leg comes across, I kick over, she gets her hands together, boom, that's okay. As I kick her down, I sit up. This hand, I go fingers down and reinforce the other side of her wrist. Make my adjustment on the elbow. For me, I just feel like this is more solid, going into my armpit and clamping down on it. Folding everything in and just kind of crunching into it as I'm bringing her fingertips to her forearm here. So different angle. So we're going here, I'm fighting for the choke. Got my back mount. I slide from the forearm to the fingers. Leg comes over as I'm moving her. Here, sit up. So I keep a hold of the fat of her hand that entire time. Reinforce, dominate the elbow, fold it in. Alright? So, the basic principles of the wrist lock is dominate the elbow, whether it's against the mat, against your own body, against their own body. Super important, unless you're doing a twisting wrist lock, which I'll show a video on that down the road, maybe next week, we'll see. But enforcing that elbow, folding it either that way or this way. And one other thing with this setup, which is kind of cool, is that when I'm going for it, boom, she's getting her hands together. The one way for her, well, I guess there's 2. She could gut through it and potentially break her wrist, or she can extend her arm. So I'm going for the wrist lock, she extends it. Okay. I take the arm and I wrist lock her anyways. Or you can hit the arm bar, whatever you prefer. But I really like that setup. That's one that used to be one of my higher percentage ones. I tend to go for the choke now personally. But, well, if I get back now, I'll go for the choke. But if the wrist is there, I'll take it.
Always take the wrist.
Do you go for this one at all?
For this wrist lock?
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. So it's a good one. Like I said, Dirty Wrist Locker, one of our best-selling shirts.
Number 1. It's
Number
classic version right
It
here.
was one of the first designs we put up on the site. So I love it. It's my favorite shirt. Caulifloweryourfamily.com. Use a discount code at THANKYOU10. Get 10% off your order.
Yep.
And go to our YouTube channel.
And subscribe. So Brett can get rid of the ugly link.
Yeah, I want a good URL. So go do that for me. Alright, thanks guys.